The following program is sponsored by the Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. White Pine County Tourism Recreation Board meeting, July 27th, 2021.
It wasn't that thing, that was the fan.
It was the fan.
So there's an exhaust fan up there.
Oh.
That's the air purifier that kills all the stuff in the...
Yeah, I just turned this off.
Thank you. It's
And Ryan said they were driving back to make the meeting, but he just got to Shelbourne Station, so he said that he probably is
that's all right.
not going to be
Well, we'll wait a few more minutes for
for Ian. So we can, cool.
Okay, thank you. And it is 4:09?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to call the regularly scheduled meeting of the White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board to order. This is Wednesday, July 27th, 2021, and the time is 4:09. Marietta, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So let the record reflect that we have member Marietta Henry in present, Chairman Caroline McIntosh present, and member Ian Bullis on Zoom. This time, would like to offer and invite anyone for public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
George, can you come up to the microphone? And we can even move it further down there if you want to grab it even too. And
No, I think my voice looked good. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chairwoman, I've yet to see any reports from those that have received monies through aid organization grants from the Tour and Rec Board. The reports are required so that tracking on progress can be evaluated and assessed. Are the organizations failing to comply? This makes the fourth time I've made the request. The first being April 27th, 2021, then May 25th, 2021, then June 22nd, 2021. If the organizations are not complying, all funding needs to be denied and stopped until compliance is made. This board has a fiduciary responsibility. Madam Chairman, I'm again requesting a copy of the written report from the consultant that did the ski resort study. The study was paid for with room tax monies and not a private group or individual. A verbal contract or verbal report is not good enough. I don't know if it was from the consultant or just something off a county commissioner's head. It needs to be in writing. You people need to have that. Madam Chairman, today I've not seen anything on your agenda in regards to this board pulling its support from Predators Park. Some of you call it Heritage Park. I remind you, a young girl has been missing since April 2003, and just recently we had an incident where a truck driver enticed in some way or abducted a young person, assaulted that young girl, and then abandoned her on the road north of McGill, from what I've been told. Luckily, she wasn't murdered. Luckily for her, a local person saw the young girl and the truck driver leave together and reported it to the sheriff's office. We need to learn from these experiences and safeguard that it doesn't happen again. NRS states you cannot have gaming or liquor within 1,000 feet of a school. The city and the county are failing miserably in staying within compliance. I want to remind you, you have liquor and gaming within 1,000 feet, and now you're going to put in a park. I'm completely against that. We've got plenty of parks, and we need to support those that we have in place. In the last 10 years, we've dropped almost 2,000 people in the city of Ely. Madam Chairwoman, recently the city approved a renovation for Broadbent Park that would remove the present grandstand that was renovated by the Wreck Brothers. You can see the big change from what it was before and what those guys did. Did a great job. That new plan that the city council approved would have grass terraces and not accommodate as many people as the grandstand does now. I'm asking this board to approach the city council and tell them they need to consider a plan which includes the grandstands. We're looking to lose a $250,000, $500,000 asset. To lose that asset is blatant squandering of taxpayers' money. You're not gonna build that facility anywhere else. What do they plan on doing it?
That's 3 minutes, thanks, George.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move to new business. Item A, discussion and for possible action, approval of agenda, including removal of agenda items. And I believe we're going to remove item F. Mr. Herndon is not able to present today.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the agenda with the removal of item F.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. B, discussion and for possible action, approval of minutes, June 22nd, 2021, the 4 p.m. meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to these minutes? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Sees any, I'll make that motion to accept as presented.
Thank you.
You need to turn up the volume,
Yeah,
please.
turn to vote.
Working on it.
I'll second the motion, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. The motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item C, discussion only, review of the financial report.
All right, I'll give everybody a chance to get the paperwork, but we'll start with our normal room tax report for the month of June. If you look at our hotel motel revenue, there was $218,788.02 in room tax collected. For our RV parks and campgrounds, we had a total of $21,892.33 for a grand total of $240,680.35 in room tax collected. The distributions went $7,862.65 to the golf course. The city of Ely received $38,018.22. The railroad $35,656.35. And White Pine Tour and Rec retained $152,457.56 for its budget. How that compared going into the last month of the fiscal year, we came in 52.9% over where we were at this time last year in June, and that allowed us to finish out the fiscal year at 24.6% over where we were at in 2019-2020 fiscal year. So a nice strong finish to the year, which was nice. There is a report in your packet that just goes with the hotel motel breakdowns for month to month. It just reflects that 52.9 over where we were the years before. So this is just kind of a running tally on where our hotels are at. But doing well if we could just find people to help out with all the employment that we're lacking. He's got his hand up. Do I?
Up to the chairwoman.
Yes, Mr. Judges, do you have a comment?
Madam Chairwoman, does this reflect 1 year of operation for the Holiday Inn in the fiscal year, or is it a partial?
No, that they would have had 1 full year.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
If you go, there's 2 budgets in your packet. There's the end of the fiscal year budget, and that's what we'll go over first. And then the second one is the month of July budget. So if we're looking at the closeout of the fiscal year, for total revenues, the city came in at 125% above what we had budgeted for. The county room tax came in 141.5% over what we had budgeted for. And then, of course, our grant reimbursements, miscellaneous funds came in at significantly higher than what we had budgeted. And that kind of covered the fact that we were only at 67% what we had thought we were going to get in revenue for the facility in conventions. But overall, we came in at about 113% above what we had budgeted for income combined.
Hey, can you just slow down a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're on 4C, correct?
Correct.
And so show me what you just talked about.
We just talked about that right there,
Oh,
the top part.
okay, I was going down to the other
No,
governments.
it's up to
Yep.
the top.
Nope, we're just up at the top looking at
Okay.
the income right now.
Okay, thank you.
We did the budget augmentation for the expenses, so there was a few expenses that came in at the end that pushed just a couple line items above that 100%, but pretty much that it came in at what we had budgeted for. If you go down to the very bottom, it shows the distributions to everybody, and of course those were higher than what we had budgeted for because our income was higher than what we had budgeted for. But the bottom line is that if you take that $2,092,000 and change in income and compare it with our total expenses of just over $2 million, we had an operating surplus of $85,138.92 for the fiscal year. We did not have to pull any money out of savings or anything like that, so that surplus will go back into our savings and continue to grow that investment.
It was a good thing, though, to be conservative when you built the budget.
Absolutely, it was the right move
Not
to
know.
dip it down 17%. You know, and it's still for even what we budgeted for you know the next year, we're even this year's budget is still conservative. So if you go to the new budget for fiscal year 21-22, and that's also marked as 4C, but that's the one that's got a lot more empty spaces in it. Sorry, Ian, I hope you could hear me on there. The microphone was facing the wrong way. Usually in the beginning of the year, we show that we've got a... Perfect. It usually shows that we have an operational deficit because we usually get people that are looking for grant reimbursements, their beginning of the year payments, things like that. It usually takes about 3 or 4 months to go ahead and get into a surplus. So if you go down, it showed that room tax revenue that I reported on, it showed that we did have a little bit of event revenue. Well, actually, we're not showing any room revenue because it hasn't come in yet for July, but we're showing the center events and the expenses. So right now, really nothing much to report on except that operational deficit, which is normal every single time this year. So next month, we'll have our July numbers in room tax, and we'll start seeing that turn around. Any questions about the budget report or the financials? All right, hearing none.
Okay, so thank you very much on that. Do we have any other questions? George, do you have anything?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Okay, is this me or you?
I think that's yours.
me, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item D, discussion and for possible action to ratify the bills. And so that is, of course, 4D. And the bills, we'll play origami and paper dolls here. I just had it.
You just asked for E right there.
How was it B? Oh, it's just
No, it's
mislabeled.
D and E.
Madam Chairman, I need to make a disclosure.
Mhm.
I'm the chairman of the board for the horse races, but I do not receive any remuneration at all for that position. And that check is included in this list.
Okay, thank you very much for that disclosure, and I also want to disclose I have an interest in Bath Lumber, and that item, the bill will be voted on separately. Thank you. All right, are there any questions on the bills as presented with 4D? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we pay checks 103.95 through 104.55, less Bath Lumber, in the amount of $251,931.35.
You want to second it, Ian?
Oh, he just got dropped.
Oh no, we need these paid.
Technology is great, isn't it? When it works.
For some.
When
Yeah.
it works, George.
Well, I know he's sitting on the side of the road
Is he?
calling in, so. We'll just see.
Yeah, we'll just give him a
Let's
few.
let it-
Yeah, they'll come in right here. Man, if he only could have got dropped like 5 minutes later, we could have got the important things done.
Would it be okay if we just go on to the,
Oh. Ian's back.
I am back. Sorry, guys, I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, that was weird.
thank you,
Glad
Ian,
you're
very
back.
much. Okay, so where we are, Ian, is I'm looking for a second to ratify the bills on 4D. Marietta's made a motion.
I will second that.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. But we do not have a quorum for E, so we will have to pull that one
I'll have
later.
to pull that.
Okay.
We're going to move to item F. This, again, that has been pulled. We'll go past that and go to item G. Discussion and for possible action, approval of the Warren Reed and, insurance premium for fiscal year 21-22. And as we recall, Mr. Reed made a presentation, the two Mr. Reeds, last meeting, and so this is merely to accept and pay the bill.
Yep.
And I'm looking for a motion.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Warren Reed insurance premium bill for fiscal year 21-22.
Thank you. Ian, can you go ahead and second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now, we're going to move to item H, which is discussion and for possible action, written strategic plan update for this year. And we actually run on a calendar year for our strategic plan, not a fiscal year. And I asked Kyle there has been so much that has been accomplished in the last year, and more of a discussion going forward and items to make sure that we capture where we are and where we want to go. So this will be actually the meat of the meeting.
Yep. So what I didn't want to do with this is go through and create a mile-long listicle of
Actually, come to the camera.
a mile-long listicle of, you know, all the stuff that we've already gone over in board meetings and things like that. So what I wanted to do is kind of dive into, I don't know, just kind of more of the direction that we're going and how we're working towards it. I mean, we all know that, you know, we've done print pieces for all these different groups. We all know that we support our events individually, things like that. So it was really kind of a task to look at this strategic plan and to be like, and to come up with something new and valuable. There we go. So as you can see in your thing, it's got the guiding principles and the mission statement. We won't go over those. We'll just kind of dive right into the strategic priorities. And the first priority was to focus on developing the assets, events, and experiences currently within the county. And so the board put an emphasis on outdoor recreation, but to develop current attractions and events into world-class experiences by using available resources to develop and strengthen relationships with our partners, including recreation, arts, cultural, and historic organizations. And so that's what I focused on because I felt like the key word in there was partnerships. And when we made the presentation to the Travel Nevada COVID Relief Board, really what we emphasized there is how, as a community, we work together and we develop these relationships that allow us to move forward. And so it felt more like a fully functioning community as opposed to a heavy-handed kind of like from above, you know, forcing things to happen. So in the last 6 months, and that's truly what we're going to be talking about here because that's how long it's been since we did the strategic plan, is the new relationships that we formed that are really going to move us forward is with our outlying communities. We made an effort to change our logo to include the communities. We also put a section for all of the communities in the new visitors guide. It wasn't about just visit Ely, Nevada anymore. It was about visit White Pine County. And so through that, we have a new stronger and developing relationship with the McGill Town Council. And so I've been going to their board meetings. We did just finish their first public art piece, which was a mural of the Pony Express rider coming out of the wall. This was a Jamie Vinsek mural, and we developed relationships even deeper because we had to go to the Pony Express rewriters and work with them on the authenticity and accuracy of it, and made sure that, you know, it was something that, again, was a partnership with not just the town council and the artist and tourism, but also the people who it represented. So out of that, McGill is actually talking about building a free wall. It's a public art wall, and something for the kids to do down at the park, where it will be a big giant canvas that they would be able to paint on, create on, and it would continuously be whitewashed, you know, to be a blank canvas. And we are going to be working on a mural for their baseball history. And they also had a really, really old, antiquated brochure about a historic tour of the community. And so I'm working with them, just like we did with Baker, to come up with a visitor brochure for the town of McGill. That goes into Baker. Baker was the other community that we've really been working on developing a relationship with. And so that has included people from Baker sitting on boards that are countywide and contributing in that way. But going to Baker, making sure that they've got additional promotional material. They are one of the furthest outlying communities from Ely, so making sure that we're seen out in Baker supporting them, not just for the national park, but also for the restaurants. They've been putting out our brochures a lot more. We've been supporting them financially to do those brochure racks, as well as stuff to make the one and only farmers market in White Pine County just pretty much make sure that its shiny side is up, you know, shade structures, things like that. And we did finish a brochure on Baker. It's the Talking Great Basin brochure. It was quite a community project, and when that is to be reprinted, we've got all kinds of updates that we already have on the list for that brochure.
Could you add the mural that you're doing out there?
Yes, and so there is the bristlecone mural that's going in out there in Baker as well. That's bristlecone, some Native American, and then the dark sky with a constellation in it as well. And that should be finishing up here, I think, Liz said, what, in the next 2 weeks, possibly? Another good relationship that is going to pay off is the one with Department of Transportation. This was one where we had asked for banners across the street a number of times, and I think through just being a good partner in other opportunities, they agreed to let us do that, and we are working on printing a much larger horse race banner to go over Altman Street right there. And so that's very exciting that they were letting that happen. And then in regards to building relationships with our partners to create this amazing experience, I think the Wreck Brothers need to be noted because from the time they finished with our parking lot, we have continuously called upon the Wreck Brothers to do things, which included the bleacher updates, the fire pit. Essentially, they've been great in making the community shine for our visitors and our guests. So I think that was worth noting that that's a great new relationship or developing relationship. Now, key relationships, this list could be a mile long because everybody in the community is a key relationship. Okay, that is everybody from the gun club to Mount Wheeler Power to, you know, you name it. There's really, this list should be a mile long. But just in the last 6 months, through working on grants, helping out with other projects, essentially just, you know, really being closely knit. We've had key relationships with the city of Ely, White Pine County, our land managers in particular, the BLM and the Forest Service, which is why we've got this great trail expansion plan and new recreation opportunities with the disc golf course, Great Basin National Park and the Foundation, and I'll dive into that one with Park to Park in the Dark. The Ely Shoshone Tribe, I can't say enough about how much we've worked together on supporting each other's projects, letters of support, financial support, collaboration, getting ready for the powwow, marketing, you name it. They've been great partners. Continue to support the White Pine Public Museum and keep working with them to fine-tune that operation. The Chamber of Commerce, and I will in my director's report give a little bit more detail about the update with our relationship with the Chamber of Commerce, but that has been key in the last 6 months. White Pine Main Street, of course, and Travel Nevada and the state offices, which includes Nevada Magazine, which we have a copy on the table. There's been quite a few accomplishments, but I think some of the big ones, again, in the last 6 months would be all the new murals that are popping up around the downtown. Now, tourism has paid for a few of them. White Pine Main Street has covered those through grants, but again, that's what happens when you have relationships. So we have the new Aspen mural on the side of Dr. Arnoldson's building, the 1919 military convoy mural on the side of Desert Rose. We've got a powwow mural that will be starting tomorrow night on the wall adjacent from Economy Drug. You've probably seen it being prepped as you drive by. And then the Bristlecone mural in McGill, no, excuse me, the Bristlecone mural in Baker and the Pony Express mural in McGill.
Can you add that now?
Yep.
Okay, so if we could go back to key relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Since Nevada Main Street is the grantor on those things, I know you put state offices, but I do think we need to have, instead of state offices, put Nevada Main Street.
Okay.
And then also, I can't remember what other one you mentioned specifically, Nevada Magazine,
Okay.
because just looks more defined.
Yep, totally. And of course, like I said, I mean, you could add Free Hub Magazine as a key relationship because that article is something we've worked on in the last 6 months. But then you can dive down the rabbit hole of all of the advertisers that you work with. But I think the key relationships here, you know, and of course the train's included and, you know, all of that stuff. But in the last 6 months, I'm trying to think of who I've been on the phone with more than anyone else. And it's been these folks here. So, talked with Jay today. She has designed 81 total pieces since January. And so that would be posters for events, postcards, rack cards, brochures, ads that we've done for print. It includes the big thing for the Vietnam Wall Memorial, that whole brochure and pamphlet and everything like that. So 81 pieces, that's a really good run, and we're really just kind of hitting our busy season. We awarded in the last 6 months $195,000 for our local grant program. So that would include our aid to organization, capital improvement, and outdoor rec. And of course, anybody who was granted through those 3 programs are of course key relationships. We completed the new visitor's guide, and I've got a couple copies here. If you haven't seen them around town, I would encourage you to grab one. But again, we updated the photos, we updated a lot of the articles that were dated. We kept a lot of the articles that were timely, and those look really, really good. And then a big key accomplishment, and this is a big collaboration that's kind of statewide, is this Park to Park in the Dark program, which is an itinerary that takes you from Great Basin National Park to Death Valley across Route 6 in the dark for astrotourism. And with astrotourism being the hot topic at the state level right now, we have everybody from Friends of Nevada Wilderness all the way up to elected officials and every destination in between that are working together on this itinerary, and it's getting a lot of excitement at the upper levels. Is there anything in this strategic priority that I missed or should be added?
Just change key relationships to USFS instead of NFS.
Okay. And then Express Mail. Okay. Okay. So then if we go over to priority 2, an increase in room night growth with a focus on drive markets. What our goal was is to really define the 4 to 5 hour drive market. You know, I remember saying in conversation, if there's one outdoor enthusiast in Las Vegas that doesn't know about Ely, we have no business promoting to China or Florida or anywhere else outside of that 5 hour drive market. So our social media has been targeted into those drive markets. Our digital promotion has been targeted into those drive markets. Our messaging, you know, everything is all about Las Vegas first, then you're hitting Salt Lake City and St. George, Cedar City, so that front end of the Wasatch, Reno, Tahoe, Twin Falls, and Idaho, southern part of Idaho, is kind of when you draw a circle that 4.5, 5 hours away. You just missed Boise, even though we still promote to Boise. We still promote to the foothills of California, you know, but our main drive market is really who we're reaching out to. So Las Vegas currently holds the highest number of followers on all of our social media platforms, by almost double, where when I first got here and we were doing the social media, it was nobody from outside of Ely, and there was a very small following from Ely. You know, so Las Vegas currently takes the top spot, and then it goes in order for social media: Las Vegas, Reno Sparks, Ely is our third largest number of followers, then Elko, Phoenix, Tucson, Salt Lake City, St. George, and then Idaho, Twin Falls has the least amount of followers. So if we were to say in this next 6 months, you know, we really want to target Southern Idaho, we really want to target, at least I've got the base now of where we're at currently, where in 6 months I can report and say, yes, we wanted to target Idaho. Now Idaho has moved up the list 3 or 4 times, but this is currently who's following us. On our website, it's Las Vegas, #1, who's coming into our website. But Nevada, California, Utah, Washington, Arizona, and then Idaho. And I think California sneaks in there because some of our digital marketing touches into California, Sacramento, San Francisco area. So those are the current markets. That's who's liking us right now. And we still only get sporadic data or reports from our hotels about what their occupancy rates are. We're now getting it from our top 5, and we can start kind of speculating about our occupancy rates, but we're not getting them from our bottom 15, you know, and so it would be relatively skewed if we were to report on that. But from a financial and an anecdotal statement, we did finish 113,000 over what we had budgeted for fiscal year 2021. Okay, so we did see more activity than we expected. We do know that our middle to bottom properties are mostly our construction workers, and we know that our top end properties are mostly, you know, our individual travelers that are coming through. And so I expect that, you know, we'll still be looking good through September when construction will start to taper off a little bit.
Can we go back to the markets?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in Tonopah recently, I think I told you about this, I was like geofenced to the max.
Okay.
And I was wondering if we do any geofencing on that. I mean, Tonopah's got it going. We have tons more assets.
Oh yeah.
And everything, but boy, they know how to geofence there. And do we do geofencing?
Yes, we have done geofencing. We actually stopped doing geofencing during COVID because we were like, nobody's able to go to the places that we had geofenced. But in the first year, we did use geofencing. We actually used it for horse racing, where we geofenced all the tracks in the West. And what that is you draw essentially a circle around a location, and anytime somebody's device walks into that circle, the next time they pull open their web browser, they get fed an ad from Ely, Nevada.
And I got Facebook things like crazy.
Oh yeah, totally. And we had sports stores, we had bike shops, we had horse tracks, we had RV repair places, any of those locations we were going for. Reach Local does that, and so if that's, you know, now would be a time where we could start discussing opening that back up again, especially if we had a market target that we really wanted to get hyper-focused on.
But I think it also depends upon, well, isn't it geofence when they get close to here?
So with geofence, what they do, once you walk into that circle, then they track your phone for 30 days, and if your phone goes into your town, it's called a conversion. And it's one of the only digital advertising that, other than an actual purchase, where they can tell you about some sort of conversion. They can say 3,000 people came into this geofence and 50 of them ended up into your town 1 month later.
Okay, so my question for you would be, if we looked at our summer events, the remaining summer events, where we, you know, I think you have some annual things in here, calendar type things. So if we looked at those, where would those visitors come from? That, because it's that type of group, and I would think like Southern Utah and wherever for the horse races.
Mhm.
But, you know, it's, I mean, that's just for example, because you can change where you're going, can't you, with it, or?
You can. So that's the nice thing about digital is, you know, you can change these things up pretty on the fly.
So
you know?
like, for the first part of August, it would be X or whatever. I would just like to see us pursue it, because I do feel that I spent a lot more money in my day in Tonopah,
Mhm.
simply because they tagged me and I went, oh, I didn't know they had this, and I didn't know they had that, and I may need that, but I really didn't, but I bought it anyway. So it was a pretty exciting experience for Tonopah,
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
I'm probably easily impressed, but at any rate, I
They saw
liked-
you coming a mile away.
Oh, yeah, I was in the circle. So, but that would just be something I think I'd like to, you know,
Cool.
think about us, encourage us to resume that.
Cool. I like that. I've always liked geofencing. So yeah, I'm excited to hear that. Okay, so with priority 2, was there anything else that we need to discuss on that one?
So this, I'm not sure, oh, I think it'll come down to the number 3, so I'll wait till now.
Okay. So number 3 is the focus on attracting events through countywide facility promotion and convention center technology upgrades. So the goals for this year was new AV equipment throughout the entire facility. We worked out the kinks with this one. We're still gonna get a sound bar in here so that we don't have all of this stuff going on. But through learning that, we're gonna take this technology and we're doing that in the 3 breakout rooms in the back. And so Dawn's been working on that. The rooms are gonna be repainted, so fresh colors. Each room will have its own flat screen TV that computers will be able to plug into their own sound. Those TVs will be able to be run individual. Those TVs will also be able to link up and sync if we're opening up and doing all of that in the back. That was the low-hanging fruit because it was a lot easier to work on that one. And then after that, we're gonna focus on the big room and make sure that the AV equipment is all dialed in for that as well. So the big thing with this one is the technology upgrade. So the back 3 rooms, like I said, wired and hardwired, ready for new paint. I actually would like to talk with you, Marietta, because I've got some paint swatches that I need your design eye to tell me that, because I'm colorblind. Okay, so flat screen, no more projectors, things like that. That's good. The Bristlecone Pine display is getting updated by 1157 Design and Display Company. This was a company that we had talked with the National Park, we had talked with the National Parks, design people for their displays, and we got recommended to this company who does a bunch of interpretive, interactive displays, things like that. We just always get, when people come to see Prometheus, this kind of like underwhelmed sense of, I thought there was going to be more to it. And so what we want to do is we want to provide more. We use money out of the historic asset preservation line item that we had to cover this, and we should have a design, because I checked in with them today, we should have a design by next week that we can go over and start the process of going for it. The facilities guide, I'm glad we didn't go through the process of printing anything out with that yet, because we've got new photos, all the new technology upgrades are going to be in there. Jade is working on it, and this facilities guide is going to include all of the facilities throughout the county that you can rent for events. So not just the Bristlecone Convention Center, the parks, the private buildings and rooms that you can rent for events, the campgrounds like Ward Mountain, things like that, but just to let people know how many facilities we have. And so that will be done before the next update. And we are in the back building continuously cleaning out that storage building. We were constantly back there taking loads to the dump of old material and things like that.
So could, on this facilities guide, when we get to the point where we can all check it, would you send that around the horn?
Absolutely.
Please,
Absolutely.
for everybody.
And so like I said, on the list for the next 6 months is the new front room technology upgrades, and then I want to go ahead and wrap up the back bathrooms with the ADA upgrades. And that was something that I was tasked with 3 years ago when I first got here, and so I think...
Diaper changers.
And diaper changers, I've not forgot yet. I know I don't want to be in diapers by the time those diaper changers come in, so...
Well, you'd be on the floor currently.
Better be heavy duty. All right, and then so for the fourth one, and it was focused on building awareness and participation locally to develop advocacy and ambassadors. I think with a lot of our key relationships and new relationships, that kind of got the ball rolling. But when you look at the mandate of a tourism bureau, it is to bring people into the community. It does not make sense for, once you bring people into the community, for the community not to know what's going on. So we do market locally at the Ely Times, the Bristlecone Times, KDSS, K-Ely, post stuff on White Pine Talking, Clutter. We put posters out at all the businesses. And while we haven't done a mailer lately with all of the events, it was very successful, and I would be receptive to putting a fall mailer out and putting that out to the surrounding communities. I think without a grant, we would still have money in the budget to do that. One thing that we are constantly trying to keep up on is personally deliver marketing pieces to hotels and visitor-related businesses and attractions. And what that does is that allows us to talk about what's going on, answering questions. Material is flying faster than we can print it. I mean, we are almost out of some of our major pieces, and we're waiting for Travel Nevada to hopefully grant us money for reprinting. But 4th of July cleaned the catacombs out. You know, we are short on everything. But that's a good sign, because as people are here and they want it, and so we do go around and we try to like build that relationship personally to make sure that they know what's going on at their businesses. And then one of the things that I continuously say is about building community around our assets. And so the mountain biking team and the trail crew is a perfect example of not just building trail, but building local community support around the trail. And last week we had 17 people, including kids, out there helping with trail building up on Ward Mountain. Same thing with the stuff that we do with the Boys and Girls Club, guided mural tours over the 4th of July. And I have been talking with the museum and the chamber board, more specifically in the last month, about beginning the ambassador and training classes. And that was something that we've written grants for in the past. It was not awarded, still a good idea, but to start bringing in some of these partners and putting on workshops for, here's what our assets are, here's the materials you have available, here's how we market our community. Could you also please sing from the same hymnal as what we're doing, and make that experience that much better?
Okay, I have some things.
Absolutely.
So one of the things is that, this is more of a question rather than I don't have the solution.
Okay.
For instance, I've been working with Adam Young, the superintendent, and all of the superintendents from the 17 school districts will be here, as well as all of the Department of Education for Nevada.
When's this?
Big deal.
Yeah.
It'll be the 5th of August. And so I just happened to stumble on that, and it's like, my question is, well, I asked Adam, do you need to have bags from, tourism? Can we prepare something for you? But my question is, how do we accomplish that we can get information if they're not using the convention center? How do we find out about these things so that we can support them and we can notify the community to welcome them? So that's the question, where there's gatherings or conventions. And so, like, for instance, last weekend we had the Christian Motorcycle Group, which are the nicest people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But can we make a plan and discuss this next month, come up with a plan of how we can get out there? White Pine County Tourism and Recreation would like to welcome this group into town, or we put it out to our restaurant email group or our lodging. But when we have community members that understand that, and our business owners, they'll get a very warm welcome.
Yep.
And so that's my question for you.
Okay.
And then the second thing is, I'm glad you brought, that you commented on ambassador training, because that kind of falls under the list of the diaper changer for me. And that is a super important thing, and we've discussed it along. I would like to have a tag team that, with somebody who's new to town like Abby, who's just so lovely, things that were important to her, and then she also combines with the visitor center where she gets all these questions.
Mm-hmm.
And she is she is really doing a great job posting pictures of of people coming into town. And I mean, it's pretty darn exciting
Yeah.
what she does. So I would like to really work on this ambassador training, that gets rolled out. And then lastly, an MOU with the chamber and the museum. And I've talked to the president of the chamber, Mary Kerner, and I just said, talk to your board about what they'd like to see in an MOU. It's not us putting it together, it's we putting it together.
Right.
And the same thing with the museum. So we have a memorandum of understanding because we are their probably strongest supporter.
Yep.
And we need to know what each, what's the responsibility for each. And they're great organizations, but everybody needs to be clear on what's happening.
Yep.
So again, how do we find out and promote our conventions and gatherings? And again, I think that having the state superintendent, this is a big darn deal.
It is.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Here, and just for an example of how we can get that information, and then we can do that warm welcome. Please welcome this group, they'll be here these dates, and, this whole thing.
Madam Chairman, the state superintendent's group that's coming August 5th, where are they hosting their events?
That is above my pay grade. I don't know. I don't think they're here.
I haven't heard anything. Well, this is the first I'm hearing about it, so.
Yeah. So, when, like for instance, the Christian Motorcycle, we knew they were coming, they were
Mhm.
here. But yet, that's a perfect example to use our social media welcoming them.
Yep.
Sure.
And then, I happened to recognize who they were because they all wore the same vest with a lot of patches on it, and then I'd meet them different places and thank them for coming and all that. But our community that's how we do ambassador training, is that subtle, here's the information.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, and then again, the MOUs of we, not us dictating it. So we come together on that, and we could have McKinsey help us with that. But we want to make sure that it's a partnership MOU,
Yes.
and that communication.
Madam Chairman, I have to make a comment. Abby, who's been working through the chamber office, is just outstanding.
Yeah.
She's very gracious and warm and welcoming.
So she's a
Yes.
great ambassador. And, that visitor center has really been a great idea, so. That's one of the thing about the ambassador part of this, is that would be a key thing, is because the visitor center's open 7 days a week, which has been a real goal, that visitors can come in and seeing the list of people, and she's been really good about getting emails so that we have an email list now that we can send out with our newsletter. That's a really great foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the past, for White Pine County Term and Rec, we would just say the states people have come from. Well, that didn't help us market to them.
Right, after the fact.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so we had, Georgia come, but what, we needed to give them another reason to come.
Right.
So those are mine.
Nope, very
Back
good
on the diaper
suggestions.
changer, the ambassador training. This looks fantastic. Are there any comments? Ian, do you have any comments about this?
Ian bounced.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't need approval on this, do we?
No.
Okay, it's just discussion only.
Yep.
Marietta, do you have any?
No, I do not. I think it's outstanding what's the strategic plan, and I'm really excited about it. And I like your idea about the geofencing.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can bring it back next month to talk about those additions.
Absolutely.
And plan. Mackenzie, did you have a question?
Yeah, so Ian left the meeting.
Uh-huh.
You guys
So
are
we'll
off
just
about
be
halfway
discussion
through.
only.
I don't think we can go forward even with discussion without a quorum.
Okay,
Let's see if we can get him.
Did he purposely leave?
That I
or-
don't know, it was halfway through my presentation.
Okay.
He got dropped.
Yeah, my recommendation would be we
I mean,
just
true-
need to push this all to the
Because
next meeting.
truly, that's all that's left is the director's report and the marketing report. After that item, there's nothing but
I was
reports left.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's
I
not
just
like,
think without a quorum, we don't want to be having a public meeting.
okay.
So can we see if we can get him?
So we'll go ahead and move us into number 6 for public comment. Is there any public comment at this time?
Unless we want to wait for Brian.
Brian's probably not gonna make it.
Yeah. Mr. Chachas, do you have some public comment?
I do.
Thank you.
What color loss is it?
Madam Chairman, in the past I've given you several requests for public information, and I've not received anything. In particular, I noticed you about the parking lot not meeting ADA and some other issues. I've noticed you about the money for the community choir that was given for pigeon control. They were not a public, they were a private group at that time. That money needs to come back. The Nevada Northern Railroad continues to get money from you folks. They don't operate under the Nevada open meeting law. They haven't addressed whether there's been an embezzlement, yes or no. There were some other items on the same request. I want some answers. There was also a request regarding the money that this board has given to the golf course, and there's been no reports. I want to know how they're doing. They're going through a lot of money. I want to know what the impact is. No freebies. There was also a request for information in regards to Mr. Spiro, former contractor with the tour board. Again, you have business license, city license, commercial location, home occupation. Now he sits in city council. He knows better. I want some answers, please. Around the community, we have RVs setting up. Just this last week, there was a fifth wheel parked behind the convention center on the property back here. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is I got cited, 2 citations on one of my property, one of my brothers. I was looking at $355 fine. Others around me can rent their property RVs. I can't. The town is inundated with RVs, trailers on the park, on the street. We gotta have a plan here. I don't want to have the sheriff's office issue me or my family citation for $355 when I see something like this. I don't know what that fifth wheel was doing in there. Did you collect any kind of
No,
rental?
No, this is
No.
just.
Okay,
Yeah.
at a later time. I see them all over the place. I want some answers. I want to be treated just like everybody else, or I want those people to get their knees off my neck. I'm not just mad, I'm livid. I go to different meetings, there's some more around the community that needs to stop. So if you would, I'd like some answers on the request for information that I gave you. That's all I have at this time, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chachas. At this time, we're going to call for adjournment. And adjournment, we'll just call for adjournment, and we're adjourned.
It's a real good, okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, we got the meat and potatoes done at least.
I'll save it for next month.
Those other board members need to step up to the plate or take a hike.
Well, I need to see Ian tomorrow at the county commission meeting.
Yes, sir.
Let him know.
So, George, are you,
Take whatever you want.
I sure appreciate it. Looks very nice.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chachas reporting.